Okay, so let's make a model of a barrel two ways. All right. The first way we'll look at is uh, what you might just call polymodeling, where we'll take edges and uh, drag and copy them to build the volume. And the second version, I guess you just call it box modeling, where we start with a pre-existing volume and deform it till it looks like what we want. All right. So to get going here, let's just create. I'm going to create and over to my splines, and let's make an n-gon. Okay. And let's give it 12 sides. Okay. And let's make it just, not that it really matters, but so everybody's on the same page, let's give it a radius of 50 centimeters. Okay. All right. So, so here we go. And what we want to do now is convert it to an editable poly. Okay. So even though it's a spline, 3ds Max will let you do that. And now it's kind of like more like a 12-sided plane. All right. Now, you can see that it's like any other geometry in 3ds Max, it has surface normals, right? Basically, one side is painted or has a surface and the other side is invisible. All right. So we're going to extrude these edges or copy these edges up. So this is going to be inside. So the surface normals are on the wrong side. Simplest thing to do is just turn it over. I go into rotate. Okay. And by the way, some keyboard shortcuts that are good that I always forget for some reason, even though they're super useful, is WER. W is select and move, E is rotate, select and rotate, and R is scale. Okay, WER. Anyway, I'm going E to rotate, make sure angle snap is turned on, and rotate it. And when you rotate, never drag really for any reason in the middle, right? Because that rotates on all three axes, and that's an uncontrolled rotate. Make sure you're right on the, one of these red, white, or in this case, not blue, right? And also don't start where they cross, because then you don't know which one you're on. Just go right there, 180 degrees. Watch the little number right in the gizmo there, or also down the bottom of your screen, you'll see there's one going to 180. Sometimes it's easier to see that. Okay, let's go into edge mode. That's 2 on the keyboard. And make sure ignore back facing is not checked for any of this stuff. Select all these edges, right? They're all selected now. And I'm going into move. And I'm going to hold down shift and drag up. Okay, just a little bit. So let me actually, sorry. Find a picture of a barrel. So, so you can see that most of them have bands at or near the edges, and they're not always. Sometimes they're regularly spaced, sometimes they're not. And so the really older barrels have the bands not all the way out to the edge. I notice, like really antique barrels. But anyway, let's see, where am I here? So I'm going to, now I'm going to scale. And I think in this situation, you can use the middle scale because it's just going to go out on the right axis, but the actual correct one is to use this right here, right? Because this just scales on X and Y. All right. So what I'm doing, oops, I got to hold shift down, right? Because I don't want to make this one bigger. What I'm trying to do here is make the first band. So I'm going to go out, up, in. All right. So this is a little bit of wood here. So I'm holding down shift. As we go along, this will start to make sense. I promise. So hold down shift and go out. And if you look down at the bottom, you can see I'm going out 102. Okay, on X and Y, and Z isn't changing. All right, then go back to select and move, hold down shift, and just go up a little bit. This is our metal band, so it should be thin. Okay. Now I'm going back to shift and scale in 98. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to shift and drag up. I don't know, like that much. Okay, this one we're eyeballing. The second, the box modeling way, everything will automatically be uniform. Kind of depends on what you're doing. I'm going to hit F4 to show my edges here. All right, so this stuff here is wood. This is vertical wood, you know, vertical wood slats. Everything's either wood or metal. Okay, so this is wood, and this is a metal band. All right, so it's time to make another band. So I'm holding shift down and I'm going to 102. Oh, come on, thing. All right, and then I'm going shift and up to make the next band. I'm eyeballing this whole thing. Shift and drag in, 98. Shift and drag up for another piece of wood. By the time we get to the top, we'll be good at this. WER. Shift and drag out, 102%. Okay. Shift and drag up for the next metal bands. Shift and drag in, 98. Shift and drag up for another piece of wood. Try to do it about the same, right? Trying to stay uniform. I probably, I should have been going out probably, you know, and because the barrel's fatter in the middle, but I didn't do that. So, and you can adjust the height afterwards too without shift if you just want to move something. But I can scale them out afterwards. So I'm just gonna keep going straight up. It's complicated enough as it is, right? Shift and scale out from the bands. Shift and drag up. Shift and scale in. 98. I'll do one more metal band to add right near the top. Okay. 102. Up. And shift and drag in to 98. And shift and drag up just a tiny bit, because I think maybe a little bit of wood could stick above that. I don't know. Maybe not, but all right. So there's this thing, and we could just let's just put a let's actually, we could just put a cap on it and then bevel it in. All right, let's just put a cap on it. So we go to border mode, right? And if you click on that, a border is any set of edges that goes around the hole, right? And you should see cap down in there in the edit borders. Just put a cap on there. I could have just built the top of the wood the same way, but I just thought I'd switch. So now I go to polygon mode, click on this guy, and let's just bevel this in and down, right? So I'll show you what I mean. So we want to see the fatness of the wood, and then we want it to be inset a little bit. See like how it's kind of inset there, but I'm not going to have this angled edge here. Seems odd. So I'm gonna make this, I don't know, how fat should a board be? Around 2.5, maybe 2.3. And then I'm gonna hit the plus and right click on outline because I don't want to go inwards, but I want to go down. So drag down this guy, you know, something like that, check, and get out of the edit poly mode. All right, so look at this thing I made. Now you guys, it's too fat and not tall enough for a barrel. Okay, so I'm going to just scale it up a little bit, the whole thing. Maybe more like that. Now let's try making it fatter just by scaling. Okay, we'll try spherify on the modifier on the next one. So I'm going into vertex mode. I'm going to select all these middle ones here. And, you know, I can either do it in the top view or the perspective view. I can't scale it here because it's only going to go on one axis and it's going to go, you know, it's going to do that. Okay. So either make sure you're on this thing or here in the top view. Okay, so I'm going to scale out a little bit. Oh yeah, baby. Not too much, but just enough to look barrelicious. All right, now I'm going to get the middle one and do the same thing there. Here, I'll do it in this view. Just a wee bit. And exit that mode. Doesn't look too bad, right? And if I hit F4, okay, there's some issues with the smoothing groups because we're going to want this to be, we're going to want these to be hard edges on the edge of the metal bands, but we're going to want it to be smoothed across here, I think. Okay, or certainly smoothed across the face of the band. There wouldn't be corners here, right? This would be a round, but let's worry about that later. All right, let's do the other barrel. Okay, save this. All right. All right, I'm going to make a cylinder, right, next to this one. And I'm going to make it about the same size as the other barrel. So 12 high, 12 sides, 5 height segments of 5, and 50 centimeters wide. Okay. And whatever height you think looks good, around 100, I'll do 130. I'm in centimeters, sorry. If you're in generic max units, actually, I'm not sure what you guys are in. It's fine, okay? I should have mentioned that in the beginning. I was doing something where I wanted to use centimeters, where I wanted to use centimeters. Okay, so let's see, let's do something with this guy here. All right, right click on it, convert to editable poly. All right, now what we're going to do here is select all these horizontal lines in the middle, chamfer them, and then just scale them outwards, and you'll see. So to select these guys, if I go like this, it's gonna, I really want just the horizontal ones. So it's all to do with whether you're in window crossing. There's 2 ways I can do it. If I switch it to window, right, then I can go like this, make sure ignore back facing is not checked, right? And just hold down Control to add to my selection, and I can do that. Okay, so I've got what I want. If for whatever reason I can't remember where window crossing is and it's going to be in a default crossing, I can select all of them like this, and I can just hold down Alt to unselect, and I can go across and do the middle ones like this. All right, so, and then however you get there, I want to select those middle ones. So let's go to chamfer, okay? And, all right, this is a rather complicated thing here, but we want to do this. This is actually, they changed this since the last time I used this. It didn't used to have this different types of chamfers here. I believe we want to use try and two, oops, and the number of segments. So the top one here, I want to try triangles. And here, yeah, this is what we want. So 3 for connect edge segments. All this other stuff we don't need to change. And then I'm going to increase the height of this till it's about what I want, you know, till the top and bottom is about as thick as you want the bands to be. Maybe like 3 or something. Okay, so check for that. Now I'm in my front view here, could be left view, whatever. And I'm going to blow this up big. Now what we want to do here is you can do, depending on whether you're in window crossing, I want to select the middle of each band like that, okay? So if I'm in crossing, I just got to make sure my cursor doesn't stray above or below, but goes right across the middle like that, okay? Or if I'm in window, I can just go around it, okay? And I'm holding down Control and just selecting this guy in the middle. And let us go into rotate, sorry, scale. And I'm going to make sure you're on the right axis, you know. You can, if you can't figure that thing out, just make sure you're in the top viewport, and then you can't really be in the wrong one. Just get the middle here and scale out. Logically, it should be 102% still. So I'm going to go with that. Now, don't deselect. All right. Now, either in the perspective, if you're on the right part of the gizmo, sometimes this thing moves, or in the front viewport, just scale on Y up and down till the band is the full height. If that makes sense, right? So I'm just make sure I'm right on the head of that, and I'm scaling up until the band is the way I want it to be. All right. And then just click on the word editable poly up here to get out of that. All right. So now we just have the smoothing is a little bit out of whack due to the default smoothing of the cylinder. Okay, it looks really funky, right? If we just go down to, if we just select all the polygons, right? So I went into poly mode, select all the polygons, ignore back facing is not checked, okay? And go down and do auto smooth, okay? And then get out of editable poly. And if I hit F4, that's smooth about how I want it, right? It's smooth across the faces, but I have hard edges on the 90-degree angles. All right, let's just deform this thing a little bit. Actually, let's bevel in this top part first. So I hit 4, go in here, and I'm going to go into bevel. All right, here's my bevel thingy. Y'all remember that, right? So I'm going to have no height at first. And I'm going to bring this in as fat as I want the wood to be, around 3-ish. Okay, then hit the plus. No outline, but coming down a little bit. So it's insets. So we can put our cool logo or whatever on there, right? And then exit the polygon mode. All right. So now this one we scaled to make it fatter, right? This one, let's use spherify. All right. So again, make sure you're not in any sub-object mode, and go into my modifier list, right? That's right up above here, modifier list. I'm in modify, on the modify tab, right? And I click on that, and I'm going to type S for spherify. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, down here, spherify. Holy banana peel. All right, so 100's too much, right? Let's do 50. Seems like a bit much. How about 30? $25. Okay, that looks good. Actually something. I'm going to delete the, if you're just watching, just hold off on this. I'm going to delete that modifier. Okay. I really think that, I mean, in a video game, is anybody really analyzing this stuff that much? I don't know, but I probably should have made these bands closer to the top and bottom. This piece down here should go in here too. So anyway, let's just see if we can fix that. And just sometimes I just select stuff like this in the perspective viewport, but that's kind of more of an advanced move because you might miss some vertices on the backside because there's perspective involved. So anyway, let's just select them here, the vertices. You could do edges too, but vertices are simpler here. Go into scale. Let's scale them vertically. Okay. The bands will get a little bit fatter doing this, but it's okay. So they're closer to the edge. And if you really hated the fact that the bands got fatter, I'm just going to select all the bottom vertices, okay, on the bands only, and move them up a hair to make it a little thinner. And then I can take this whole band and move it down, okay? That's all kind of optional though. All right, exiting the vertex modes. All right, now back to spherify. So if I just scroll down here, there it is, spherify. All right, and what I say, 30. Okay, it ended up with one less band than this one. All right, I probably have put in the wrong number at some point, but that's okay. All right, and now we want to get rid of the spherify and just accept this as the poly. We don't want to have to, because we're not going to change that, right? So you can, there's two ways to do it. The simplest one is just, you can just right click here and collapse all, or you can right click here, oops, and convert to editable, can't see under my picture. Convert to editable poly again, and that will basically collapse the stack. All right, just to tweak these guys a hair, whichever one looks best. I'm going to go to, guess I have to have the right object selected. I'm going to poly mode. I don't like the way that these look a little flat here on the top and bottom, because this should all be the same, the same slats of wood, right? That shouldn't suddenly change direction there. So I'm going to go to scale, make sure I'm on the right thing, and scale it down to tiny here. You can get it a little more, if you right click on the scale tool, you can get a little bit, still looks a little funky, but all right, I'm probably fiddling too much with this. All right, so there's the barrels. Next thing we have to do is unwrap. Pick one of them that you like best and unwrap it. I wish I had made an extra band on this, but it's not very important, I guess. Yeah, let's stop here for the moment.